This quietly kept discovery of an advanced lost civilization within China is shaping up to be the find of the decade. Xu Feihong, a 31-year-old archaeologist, has been quietly beavering away at the site for the past 10 years. And although we feel the incredible, mysterious, and many seemingly impossible features of the terracotta army, also indicative of the work of a lost civilization in itself, this discovery made by Xu within Sanqingdui, near the southwestern city of Chengdu, is set to officially rewrite the history books, with the finds so far made here incredibly ancient. First discovered in the late 1980s, a group of researchers would stumble upon two pits at Sanqingdui, full of strange relics, piles of elephant tusks, golden artifacts, idols, and masks, and countless bronze figures. The artifacts, all dated to at least 3,000 years old, are unlike anything previously uncovered in China. Since its discovery, an entire highly developed and technologically advanced city has begun to appear from beneath the earth, with huge buildings and large city walls now identified. With Sanqingdui now identified as the possible center of this now lost yet once gigantic city, one once built by a clearly capable, powerful, and possibly pre-flood civilization, which, if the dating of 3,000 years accurate, which we doubt, would have flourished in the region around the same time as that of the Egyptian pharaoh Tutankhamun. This dating of 3,000 years likely to be incredibly conservative. This in an attempt to stitch their timeline of existence in with the currently upheld and we feel merely post-cataclysmic timeline, with nothing prior to 10,000 years. No civilization, cities, or structures permitted to be entertained as having existed prior to the last ice age. Thus, the Sanqingdui kingdom's origins remain unknown, with ancient Chinese historians barely even mentioning any known history within the southwest, long dismissing the region, then known as Shu, as an obscure backwater. Theories about how the civilization emerged include possibly being an offshoot of travelers from Egypt, or even ancient aliens. But in the absence of clear archaeological evidence for its builders, its true origins remain a complete mystery. Although usually punting for the most prevalent archaeological footprint as the constructor of a site such as this, like that of Gornaya Shoria or other rare sites we posit as pre-flood, which have not encountered human re-inhabitation, are somehow completely absent human remains, as if whoever constructed them encountered some form of mass disappearance, almost as if they experienced a rapture. Yet, I digress. During an exploration within Pit 2 at the site, more than 1,500 ancient relics were extracted from the earth, further supporting the fact that the site indeed mysteriously abandoned and also never looted. A pristine, untouched, possibly pre-flood city, the first of its kind found within the modern era as far as we are aware. With the most astonishing find made at the site, a huge bronze statue, simply known as the large standing figure, a giant, intricately detailed rendering of a man standing 2.6 meters tall and weighing nearly 200 kilograms. The statue, which can now be found within the central hall of the Sanqingdui Museum, continues to baffle researchers. It depicts a figure with glaring eyes and a long, hooked nose, features which are notably distinct from other Chinese artifacts. He is dressed in 3 layers of clothes with their delicate patterning still visible. His hands are raised in front of his chest, with his fingers forming 2 circles. It has been suggested that the figure was possibly once holding something aloft, but we still have no idea what. Yet most interestingly of all, and we feel a possible smoking gun for the true age of the site, the sheer number of tusks found within. With archaeologists uncertain as to how Sanqingdui acquired so many tusks, with elephants not being native to that part of China for over 10,000 years. What do you think about this remarkable place? Has Xu Feihong actually stumbled upon an intact, pristine example of a pre-flood civilization? Something we felt would only be possible in such locations as that of Antarctica. How did the site remain untouched for so long? What happened to its builders? Just how old is the site and who is the standing figure? All questions with answers which we find highly compelling.
Throughout history, kings, queens, emperors, and pharaohs, inheritors or conquerors of land and wealth, have often been found to have had inherent commonality. These individuals' legacies, often accompanied by a conviction that they were ordained by their God to their position of ultimate power in their world, or in some extreme cases, believing to be gods themselves. However, another peculiar trait of these once terrifyingly powerful leaders was a belief in immortality, not only of an afterlife, but one often accompanied by their most loyal of subject and beast, which they were particularly fond of. These convictions have, throughout history, resulted in tremendous efforts and financial sacrifices being funneled into the practice of preparation for this event, with some rather extraordinary processes being undertaken solely for the purpose of biological preservation. And although the Egyptian mummification process, along with the many golden and otherwise created sarcophagi and death masks, are recognized worldwide, a little lesser, yet no less visually striking practice, which created a series of what is now known as the immortal jade warriors, can be found in China. Supposedly dated to just over 2,000 years old, yet perfectly crafted, incredibly preciously shaded jade gem suits of armor were made for their ancient emperors. These suits, indeed, practically immortal, due to the fact that they are nearly solely created from a solid stone, an astonishing feat. There is a contradiction in the ideology, or possibly more accurately academic explanation, for the true purpose of these preservation practices. Within many of these burial techniques, there is seemingly a conflict of interest between spirit and body. For whatever reason, those who underwent Egyptian embalming, for example, are apparently believed, by whomever has explained these practices, that the kings and queens wanted their bodies to live on far beyond their death and passage into the underworld. Furthermore, in complete disarray, the question then becomes, were these practices actually an ancient attempt at what we now practice with cryogenic freezing? If the body were intended to be used within the afterlife, then firstly, why the curses often found inscribed above the sealed tombs? And why were the organs and brain often removed and perfectly stored separate from the body? Along with Egypt, why in other locations were favored noblemen, loyal animals, entire chariots, or indeed entire terracotta armies left for these self-perceived gods on earth? Were they, in reality, preparing for a form of reincarnation? Not within a spirit world, but an afterlife, one for the mortal body, one within the future? We find such hypotheses highly compelling.